Hey, hey, hey. Time for another Out of This World story from rSpace. When cheating exes drop the line, "You'll never find someone better than me," it's not really a threat. It's more like they're rehearsing lines to convince themselves they still matter in a story that's clearly moved on. Today on rSpace, there's always someone better, smarter, and kinder waiting just around the corner. Cheating wife said I'd never find someone better. Now I'm engaged to her former best friend while she's working 3 jobs. I met my ex-wife at a friend's party a few years back. We hit it off that night, exchanged numbers, and started texting regularly. After a few weeks of getting to know each other, we officially started dating. We got married in a medium-sized ceremony with about 80 guests. Her parents covered most of the costs, which was generous of them. The wedding was beautiful, and the honeymoon in Bali was even better. 2 weeks of paradise with the woman I thought I'd spend my life with. When we got back, real life kicked in. I focused on my career. She started a new job at a company she seemed excited about. For a while, things were good. We were settling into married life, talking about buying a house in a couple of years. But about 4 months after our wedding, I started noticing changes. She became distant, always on her phone, and working late hours that she hadn't before. Around this time, she introduced me to her new friend from work. Let's call her Kay. Kay started coming over to our place pretty regularly. She seemed nice enough, though somewhat reserved around me. My wife and Kay started going out together frequently. Again, I didn't think much of it. I was glad my wife was making friends at her new workplace. Our first wedding anniversary came around, and I planned a special dinner at a restaurant where we had our first date. I thought it would be romantic, a chance to reconnect. But throughout the entire evening, she seemed distracted, checking her phone under the table when she thought I wasn't looking. When I asked if everything was okay, she just said she was tired from work. Something just didn't feel right. One morning, I checked her phone. There were dozens of text messages between her and her boss, not work-related texts. Intimate, personal messages that made it clear they were having an affair. Messages about how much they missed each other, references to hotel meetups, things no married woman should be saying to another man. I put the phone back exactly where it was. I needed time to process what I'd found, to figure out what to do. The next day, I installed a tracking app on her phone. Sure enough, one day when she said she was at a conference downtown, the tracking app showed she was at a hotel instead. That night, I confronted her with what I knew. At first, she denied everything, called me crazy and controlling for tracking her. But when I showed her the evidence, the texts I'd seen, the location data, she finally broke down and admitted it. She'd been having an affair with her boss for 6 months, almost half of our marriage. She begged for forgiveness, said it was just physical and meant nothing. She cried, promised to end it, said she'd do anything. I was devastated. I stayed at my brother's place for a week. When I came back, we had a long talk. She swore she'd ended the affair, that she wanted to make our marriage work. Against my better judgment, I agreed to try. We even went to marriage counseling a few times. The counselor suggested transparency, shared passwords, checking in regularly, rebuilding trust slowly. For a few weeks, I thought things might be improving. Then I was paying our credit card bill online and noticed charges for a hotel downtown on a day she'd told me she was working late. The same hotel from before. I checked the tracking app again. Sure enough, she'd been there with him. I confronted her again. This time she didn't even try that hard to deny it. She admitted she couldn't choose between us. She loved me but was in love with him. I told her I wanted a divorce. That's when she said something I'll never forget. "You'll never find someone better than me. No one will ever love you like I did." I moved out that weekend to my own apartment, filed for divorce soon after. She contested everything. Wanted half of my retirement accounts, the car I'd bought before we even met, everything. The divorce proceedings got nasty. She tried to paint me as a controlling because I'd tracked her location that one time, conveniently leaving out the fact that she'd been cheating for months. During this time, I ran into Kay at a local bar. It was awkward at first. She was my wife's friend after all. But after a few minutes of small talk, she revealed something interesting. She had distanced herself from my ex after finding out about the affair. Apparently, my ex had been using Kay as an alibi, telling me she was with Kay when she was actually with her boss. Kay didn't want any part of it once she found out. The divorce was finally settled after months of back and forth. I lost the house but kept my retirement accounts and my car. It wasn't ideal. After the divorce, I wasn't looking for a relationship. The last thing I wanted was to jump into something new right away. Around the same time, I started occasionally texting with Kay. Nothing serious at first, just checking in, casual conversation. She'd been through a bad breakup herself. One day, she invited me to dinner. We talked for hours about everything except my ex. It was refreshing to connect with someone who knew the situation but didn't want to dwell on it. We started spending more time together after that, and I found myself looking forward to seeing her. Through some people we both knew, I heard that my ex had lost her job. Apparently, the affair with her boss had become known around the office, and when his wife found out, things got messy. The company let my ex go to avoid any potential scandal or lawsuit. Kay and I continued spending time together, and our friendship gradually evolved into something more. She confessed that she had feelings for me. I took some time to think about it, but realized I had feelings for her too. We decided to give dating a shot. When my ex found out I was dating Kay, she lost it. Started sending angry texts to both of us. She tried sending messages to Kay, claiming I was still in love with her, that I talked about her all the time, that I was just using Kay to get back at her. None of it was true, and Kay showed me all the messages. We laughed about how desperate my ex was being. Kay's lease ended, and she moved in with me. It made sense financially, and we were spending most of our time together anyway. I heard through the grapevine that my ex was now working 2 jobs to make ends meet. Part of me felt bad for her, but then I remembered her words, "You'll never find someone better than me." Turns out I already had. Kay and I had been dating for about a year when I decided to propose. I planned a weekend getaway to a nice cabin in the mountains. On the second night, under the stars, I asked her to marry me. She said yes immediately, and we spent the rest of the weekend celebrating. When we announced our engagement on social media, my ex bombarded both of us with angry messages and calls. She couldn't believe we were actually getting engaged. She called Kay a backstabber and me a whole bunch of names I won't repeat here. We ended up having to block her on all platforms because the harassment just wouldn't stop. We started looking at houses together, wanting a fresh start in a place that was ours, not just mine that Kay had moved into. We found a beautiful 4-bedroom house in a nice neighborhood and made an offer that was accepted. Around this time, I heard my ex was now working 3 jobs to make ends meet. Then, out of the blue, her mother contacted me. She asked if I could help my ex financially since she was struggling so much. I was shocked by the audacity. I declined. Her daughter's choices had led her to her current situation, and it wasn't my responsibility to bail her out. We started planning our wedding for the following spring. Nothing too elaborate, but nice enough to celebrate with our friends and family. One day, while grocery shopping, I ran into my ex. She looked exhausted and unkempt. Nothing like the put-together woman I'd married. She tried to start a conversation, but I kept it brief and moved on. A few weeks later, a friend told me my ex had been asking about me, saying she'd made a mistake and wanted to try again. Too little too late. I was happily engaged to Kay, and we were building a life together. Kay's company offered her a significant promotion, but it would require relocating to Seattle. After discussing it thoroughly, we decided to take the opportunity. The housing market was hot, so selling our house wouldn't be a problem, and I could arrange to work remotely. It seemed like the perfect chance for a fresh start, away from my ex. I sometimes think about my ex's words. "You'll never find someone better than me." She couldn't have been more wrong. Karma is a witch. You'll never find someone better than me. Bold talk from someone who ended up jobless, furious, and begging through her mother for help. Meanwhile, you found peace, love, and a real partner in Kay. Update, 6 months later. After selling our house, Kay and I moved to Seattle for her promotion. The relocation went smoothly. Our house sold for 15% above asking price in just a week on the market. The housing market was crazy hot, and we took full advantage. I was able to arrange working remotely with my company, which was a huge relief. We found a better place in Seattle with mountain views that we both fell in love with immediately. The distance from my ex has been exactly what we needed. No more random encounters at the grocery store or hearing gossip about her through people we know. About a month after we moved, I got an unexpected message from my ex. She wrote that she'd been doing a lot of thinking and realized she'd made the biggest mistake of her life by cheating on me. She said she missed me every day and wanted another chance to make things right. She even had the nerve to say that what Kay and I had couldn't possibly be real love, that Kay was just a rebound and that eventually I'd realize what I lost. I sat on the message for a day before responding. I kept it short and direct. I've moved on with my life and I'm happy with Kay. Please respect that and stop contacting me. She sent several more emails after that, each more desperate than the last, but I didn't respond to any of them. I heard that she is now still working 3 jobs, waitressing in the mornings, retail in the afternoons, and driving for a rideshare company at night. Apparently, she got evicted from her apartment because she couldn't keep up with the rent. The friend mentioned that my ex had to move back in with her parents at 32, which must be humiliating for her given how she always talked about being independent. Meanwhile, Kay and I have been thriving. Her new position came with a substantial salary increase, and my remote work arrangement has been going great. We've been exploring Seattle on the weekends, finding our new favorite spots, and making our house feel like home. We've even made some new friends through Kay's work and our neighbors. We started planning our wedding for October. Nothing too extravagant, but nice enough to celebrate with about 150 of our closest friends and family. Kay's parents visited us to help with the planning and see our new place. They've been incredibly supportive from the beginning, treating me like family from the moment Kay and I started dating. Last month, Kay showed me a series of messages she'd received from my ex on social media. Somehow my ex had found Kay's profile despite us blocking her on everything. The messages were pathetic, begging Kay to give me back and threatening to expose her as a backstabbing friend. She just laughed it off, but I was furious that my ex was still trying to cause problems for us. A week later, we received a handwritten letter at our new address. I have no idea how my ex got our address, but the letter was from her, pleading for reconciliation. She wrote about how she'd realized I was the one and that she'd do anything for another chance. She even included details about her current situation, the 3 jobs, living with her parents, as if her suffering would somehow make me want to take her back. The wedding planning continued, and everything was coming together perfectly. Then, about a week before the wedding, Kay's parents called us with some disturbing news. My ex had somehow gotten their phone number and called them, trying to convince them that I was a terrible person who would eventually cheat, just like all men do. She told them all sorts of lies about our marriage, painting herself as the victim. Kay's parents saw right through it and told her in no uncertain terms to leave their family alone. The rehearsal dinner went perfectly, and seeing our families together supporting us was an incredible feeling. I couldn't help but think about how different this was from my first wedding. The wedding day arrived and everything was going according to plan. The ceremony was beautiful, the venue looked amazing, and Kay was breathtaking in her dress. Just as we were exchanging vows, there was a commotion at the back of the venue. My ex had somehow gotten past the first security checkpoint and was screaming objections, claiming that I was her husband and that Kay had stolen me. Security quickly escorted her out, but not before she made a complete fool of herself in front of everyone. Some of our guests were shocked, but most just seemed embarrassed for her. We didn't let it ruin our day. We finished our vows, had our first kiss as a married couple, and moved on to the reception, which was a blast. We left the next day for our 3-week honeymoon in Europe. As we boarded the plane, Kay and I couldn't help but laugh about the wedding drama. "Well, at least we'll have a story to tell," she said. I'm glad the move gave you both the space to breathe and focus on building your life together without all the noise from the past. What you have with Kay is solid. Then there's your ex trying to disrupt your life. Your relationship and your wedding crossed every possible line. It's one thing to regret a past mistake. It's another to refuse to accept that people move on. And you did. You chose growth, love, and a future that values stability over chaos. That's probably why she's spiraling as much as she is. Update 2. 1 year later. It's been about a year since my last update, and I wanted to share how things have been going. First, thank you all for the support. This community has been incredibly helpful throughout this whole journey. Life with my wife, still feels strange to say that, has been amazing. We've settled into our new home in Seattle and really made it our own. The view of the mountains never gets old, especially during sunrise when we have our coffee together on the back deck. It's those small, quiet moments that make me realize how lucky I am to have found her. My remote work arrangement has been going better than expected. I was worried at first that I might miss the office environment, but I found I'm actually more productive working from home. Between my income and my wife's promotion, we're in a great financial position. About 3 months ago, I received a random email from my ex that I wasn't expecting. She wrote that she was ready to forgive me for abandoning her and wanted to meet to discuss reconciliation. I almost laughed out loud reading it. The audacity of this woman never ceases to amaze me. She cheats on me for half our marriage, then acts like I'm the one who needs forgiveness. She can't be serious. A week later, she sent another email, this time with a different tone. She explained that she'd been evicted from her apartment because she couldn't keep up with the rent payments, even with 3 jobs. She was living with her parents now, which she described as humiliating at her age. She asked if I could loan her some money to help her get back on her feet. I ignored her. Last month, my cheating ex somehow called Kay's parents again after they had blocked her previous number. This time, she told them that I had a history of violence and that they should be concerned for their daughter's safety. I've never been violent toward anyone in my life. My wife's parents called us to let us know about this attempt to cause problems. They assured us they didn't believe a word of it. We were discussing whether to take legal action against my ex for harassment when we received a handwritten letter at her home address. In it, my ex claimed she was dying and needed to see me one last time. My wife and I were skeptical, so I reached out to a friend who still lives in our old city. He confirmed that my ex was perfectly healthy physically, just working her 3 jobs and complaining about how I ruined her life. The letter was the last straw. We consulted a lawyer and filed for a restraining order against my ex. The judge granted it based on a pattern of harassment over the past year. She's now legally prohibited from contacting either of us, our families, or coming to our home or workplaces. It gives us peace of mind, though I doubt it will stop her completely. 2 weeks ago, we found out my wife was pregnant. We've only told our immediate families so far, wanting to wait until the first trimester is over before sharing the news more widely. Her parents are ecstatic about becoming grandparents and have already started planning their extended visit after the baby arrives. Yesterday, I received a number from a text I didn't recognize. It was my ex, using a friend's phone to bypass the restraining order. She'd somehow heard about the pregnancy. I suspect through social media, though we haven't announced it publicly, and was furious. She wrote that I had promised her children and that I was living the life that should have been hers. I blocked the number immediately and reported the violation to our lawyer. If you'd told me 2 years ago that my wife cheating on me would lead to the happiest period of my life, I would have thought you were crazy. But here I am, happier than I've ever been, with a partner who truly deserves me and a baby on the way. To anyone going through something similar, there's a whole life waiting for you on the other side of betrayal, and it might be better than anything you could have imagined. This will probably be my last update. Thanks, everyone. You gave her every opportunity to move on peacefully, and instead she chose to spiral deeper into obsession and manipulation. No one deserves to be harassed like that, especially after you've made it clear, multiple times, that it's over. Her mess is not yours to clean up, and her regrets don't entitle her to access your life. Do you have a similar story? Share it with us in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time.